What's up, friends? Thank you for tuning in. Today we are going to sketch. It's October, it's Inktober. So we're going to do something in a little bit different style. We're going to start with the Copic marker underlay, then hit it with some pen. And we're doing something thematically different as well, right? We're going back into the past to the 1950s, and we're drawing a Honda Super Cub. You might say, well, it's not really my style, or why that? Why that bike of all bikes? So in the 1950s, you had, this was like post-World War II, you had the beginning of the Hells Angels and this kind of rough and tumble motorcyclist look, right? And persona that was really portrayed and sold. And Honda identified a gap in the market. Not everybody was an oversized guy or gal that wanted to ride a Harley and beat people up, right? There were some nice people that just wanted to get from point A to point B and maybe enjoy the process. So they released the Super Cub, and they were like, hey, guys, gals, let's be friends, right? And from that time, I want to say it was 53 or 55, till now, the vehicle's been in production. It's gone through some updates and such, obviously, but they've sold over 100 million Super Cubs worldwide. Wherever you go outside the US, usually you'll see a Super Cub, right? Even here you see a few. But with that, let's get into this bike and really see what it's all about. So it is October, or Inktober, as some people might say, so we're going to do something a little bit different. I've got some Copic markers here. I've got a C1, a C2 with the brush nib, a C4 with the brush nib, a C3, another C4, a C6. So I'm going to start by sketching with the C1 just to get my, essentially ghost in the Super Cub. And then I'm going to go over that with your standard Bic pencil, or Bic pen rather, to see what kind of effect that gives us. So I'll throw some shading on and this type of thing, and then I'll tighten it up and punch it out with the Bic, right? And that'll be our Inktober Honda Super Cub style. And I'm going to fast forward through the inking part, and then I'll come back before I start laying down the pen. We'll chat, and then zip through that so that we're not sitting here all day. Obviously, if you have any questions about the process or what I'm thinking or doing while I'm in fast forward, if you will, definitely leave a comment. I'm happy to address any questions that you may have in a later video or directly in the comments. So let's do this. Alright, so we've got our underlay done, and I think that it's a little bit stretched out. I've got a bit too much wheelbase here, so it's a bit distorted, but we're just going to keep running with this anyway. So be it. Then auto perfect. If I really wanted to tighten this up, I would do an overlay on a separate piece of paper and then just condense that, but we're just going to keep running, and that looks like us now putting down the C1, going to the C2 just to punch out certain sections to start giving it a stronger graphic read and getting a better delineation of parts, so that when I go through with the pen, it's just a bit more clear and I have some more graphic read underneath the pen. Because if you go through with the pen and then try to put marker over it, it starts to smear, which can be a look that, you know, if used effectively is okay, but I'm trying to keep this a bit more clean at the finish. So let's get this number 2 going. All right, so as you can see, I'm being pretty liberal with my placement of a darker value, this number 2, because a lot of these sections are blue, which generally or darker blue that have a darker value anyway. So I'm just hinting in at maybe there's some reflections or something like this. It's a bit muddy right now, but I am going to come back in now with the number 4, punch out different elements of this chrome exhaust, punch out some of this section here that's tucked away in shadow, and a couple other darker spaces, maybe around the tires, or front tires specifically, and let the back just kind of a little bit of a vignette as you go backwards in the sketch. A couple of interesting things about the Cub, even though it's a little stretched, there's some really iconic elements like this swoop, this shape through the centerpiece, the high red seat, and these nice little pseudo fenders on the front. Are all kind of interesting and quite elegant, really, when you start to get into this, the shape of these bar end or bar covers. Nice sweeping fenders. Really was maybe not your style, but pretty interesting vehicle, well designed at least. And here we go with the number 4. Alright, so that's roughed in. Now we will come back with our pen and just start to tighten things up. Again, finding value here, like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you have any suggestions for bikes that I should sketch, definitely let me know in the comments below. And here we go. All right, now here we are. It's pretty quick. You could see the process that we went through, starting with the 1 and then slowly building up through the 2 to the 4. I could have even gone through and built up some more with the 6, but I did not. A couple things that you'll notice. So when we went through with the pen, we were able to tighten some things up and kind of make corrections and add some extra details that we were the tips on these markers are a little too broad for us to block in or to really fine tune. But with the pen, we're able to get in and get more specific. I also came through and added some hatching through certain sections to just, again, build a bit more contrast, especially around this front section, and then that will slowly glide or fade away towards the back and create this kind of a vignette. Now, if I were doing this for a client or for work, I'm a vehicles designer for the Hot Wheels company, I would probably, or most definitely, do an overlay of this or throw this into Photoshop and make some proportional corrections and just clean things up to another level of refinement. But for an example here today, I think that it will do. This is our Inktober, first sketch of Inktober, a little late, but so be it. So listen, I hope you found some value here. If you have any questions about the process or my thinking when I'm going through this, definitely leave a comment. I am happy to share that knowledge if I have it. And again, any suggestions for what the next sketch should be, I'm open to hearing and listening. And like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Later.